A lot of YouTube videos by a guy called TECHLEAD. TECHLEAD has almost 2 million subscribers. Some of his videos have 3 million views. He's clearly very popular. To me, TECHLEAD is like an intellectual, educated version of Andrew Tate. He's Andrew Tate without the muscles. TECHLEAD said a few things I really have to refute. TECHLEAD thinks he knows it all. He talks about when he was young and how he knows everything now that he's not young. He is still young. And he talks about people over 50. He says their life is over. He uses those words, their life is over. Let me inform TECHLEAD of something. In 10 to 15 years' time, TECHLEAD will be over 50. And he will not feel that his life is over. He'll just feel that he wants different things from his life now that he's finally becoming hopefully mature. Let me tell TECHLEAD what life is like once you get over 50. What happens to a lot of us like me is that all your investments and all your money and all your businesses can go back to zero. They can go back to where they were when you were in your 20s, zero. You can lose everything. Very easily you can lose everything. Especially if your money's in stocks, shares, Bitcoin, and all these kind of volatile instruments. You can end up with nothing. So TECHLEAD, what will happen to you in your 50s if you lose everything is that you'll have to start again. And you might think, well, that's easy, but it isn't. Let me tell you, if you think it's hard to get hired in your 20s, it's impossible to get hired in your 50s. Life is the same when you're over 50, but it's just much, much harder. Right, let's look at what TECHLEAD says about homelessness. TECHLEAD said he never gives money to homeless people because they'll just waste it on drugs. He said he'd rather teach them to fish. He quotes an old adage from some Chinese philosopher who says, rather than give a man a fish, teach him to fish, because you'll have fish every day. Presumably what TECHLEAD means by this, he means the modern equivalent, which is teach them to code. Now, the reason people are homeless is that they have mental problems. They have serious issues. They've been abused. They have learning difficulties. They are educationally impossible. They cannot learn. They're stupid. It's not their fault. They're disabled. It's not their fault. They're emotionally unstable. It's not their fault. Now, he says it's a choice. He says they choose to take drugs, and that's a choice. And why fund their choices? Let me tell you, TECHLEAD, it is not their choice, and you will find out if you ever get there that it is not a choice. Nobody wants to be homeless. And then finally, TECHLEAD's great sage advice to save money: go live with your parents now. Sorry, I had to do something. Go live with your parents now. How absurd is this? Here's a man who's complaining about his wife leaving him and running off with his child back to Japan. Is it any wonder? Would any woman stay with a man who thinks that the answer to everything is to go live with your parents? And his wife left him when he was living with his parents. Well, of course she did. His wife doesn't want to be with this little baby who can't leave mummy and daddy. Of course she left him when he went back to live with a parent. Of course his wife wanted to be mistress or masteress of her own home. She doesn't want to be told what to do and governed by his mum. Is he really surprised that his wife left him when he went back to live with his parents? This guy is absurd. He's emotionally a tiny little baby child. He's not even a man-child. He's a man-toddler. He just hasn't got a clue. Now, this is very common with geeks. The guy is clearly quite brilliant when it comes to technology, coding, and computers. But he's an absolute imbecile when it comes to human emotions and human spirit and the human experience. He's just a clown. And it's a great shame because TECHLEAD is a very sagacious, very clever, very impressive speaker. But he's handicapped when it comes to just knowledge of being a human being. And this is my opinion. Please don't sue me. It is just my opinion, and presumably we're allowed free speech and opinions. I know that him and CoffeeZilla have been suing each other over some alleged scam, some Bitcoin scam. But really, TECHLEAD, I hope that I know that as you get older, you'll change your opinions. But just don't be quite so sure of yourself, because I can assure you, things change and change dramatically.